Oh,
Yep.
And I love the Hollywood star behind there, the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Let's see if we can show that to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's right next to mine. Pretty sure it's like a star or two down from mine.
I wonder what's on the tube.
Welcome back.
Thank you for being a friend.
What you talking about, Willis?
You are a meathead.
Nothing for you.
Just those bunny ears, but don't touch that dial. I'm Jay Bidwell, and today, on a very special episode of Sitcom My Face, we talk to the very, very talented, multifaceted Billy Vera. And we just kind of let the conversation flow. No structure, just chatted with this guy for, I think, upwards of 2+ hours. So this episode, we're going to talk about his career. I mean, he's a singer, songwriter, author, actor, you name it. He's done it. He's won a Grammy. He's appeared in movies, cult classic movies like Buckaroo Banzai. He was on 90210. He sang the theme songs for two of my favorite sitcoms, King of Queens and Empty Nest. His song, At This Moment, huge hit, was brought back into the public eye by the sitcom Family Ties, Michael J. Fox. So this guy's career is insane. He's got some amazing stories. We're going to hear a bunch of them. And this is a different episode than we typically do because we just literally go with the flow, chit chat. We're not talking about a specific show. We're talking about the amazing career of Billy Vera. Here it is. Enjoy.
So I'm going to run and get a Pepsi so I don't dry out my mouth. And I will be right back. Here it is. The nectar of the gods, I call it.
Uh-oh. Is there going to be a duel already?
Oh, no.
I'm drinking Coke, bro.
You're a Coke guy, huh?
I'm drinking nothing.
Okay.
I'm going dry.
And this is
you're
special
Switzerland.
Coke.
You know what? Let me just do this also. All right.
He just hangs up. Coke guy. Click.
I'm there, dude.
But Billy is part of the Pepsi generation.
Apparently so, huh? Always been a Pepsi guy. You know, I'm old enough at 81 that I remember this Pepsi jingle from when I was 6 years old. Pepsi-Cola hits the spot, 12 full ounces, that's a lot, twice as much for a nickel too. Pepsi-Cola is the drink for you.
Oh, wow.
Now, the meaning of that is that, you know, Coke was a 6-ounce bottle.
Right.
You know, the pretty girl shape of the bottle. And Pepsi said, how do we compete with this Coca-Cola that's been going on for, 100 years? Somebody said, some marketing guy probably said, I got it. We'll give them double the amount. We'll give them 12 ounces for the same price. And it kind of worked.
Yeah.
However, as much as I like Pepsi, I do like, let's see, if you can see this.
Oh,
I
there
like
we go.
Coke Memorabilia.
I was reading that you are into neon signs, like collecting.
Vintage marketing.
No, my first book was about Los Angeles neon.
Yes.
And that way that happened was, I didn't know anybody. I moved out here. I ran into my old bass player from New York, and we'd drive around at night. And I had gotten a camera, and I saw all these beautiful neon all over the city, from like the 40s. And I said, "Stop here, Chucky, stop!" Boom, click I take a picture. So I took all these pictures, and then years later, my friend Tamala D'Amico, who kind of takes care of me, she said, you ought to do a book with these pictures because they're beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. And then I wrote little tidbits explaining each one, on the opposite page of where the picture was. And it was a pretty cool little book, with one exception. They didn't do it in glossy paper. So the picture looked as good as they should have. Well.
We got the matte finish, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like that. And of course, right behind me over here, you see what that is?
Oh.
That's the Tammy
First
Show.
annual Tammy Show?
You familiar with the Tammy Show?
No, but I'm familiar with all the names above that title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that my old manager, Steve Binder, who directed the Elvis comeback special in '68, among other things, he directed the Tammy Show, which has gone on to become this legendary rock and roll film. And the Rolling Stones, who were kind of new at the time, and maybe they hadn't got hip yet, but they said, "Oh no, we're the bigger name. We're going to close the show." Well, what they neglected to do was realize that they were having the audacity to try to follow James Brown.
Oh,
dude, nobody followed James Brown.
You don't follow the Godfather of Soul.
To this day, the best show I ever saw in my life was James Brown at the Apollo.
Oh, wow.
The same for that famous album. And dude, it was unbelievable.
You might be able to follow him with Eddie Murphy as James Brown.
No, that wasn't any good. Another time I saw Richard Pryor at the Apollo too.
Oh my God.
It was amazing.
Now, was that when he was doing straight comedy, or was this when he was also a singer?
No, he was a singer, man. He had an album called excuse me, That N-Word Is Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so his entrance was brilliant because it had a couple of mediocre acts on first. The Stylistics, no two of whom sang in tune with the other.
Oh no.
And then Billy Paul, who after he sings Me and Mrs. Jones, who cares? So it wasn't looking so good, And so the announcer goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, please give an Apollo Theater welcome to Richard Pryor." Applause, applause, applause. He doesn't enter.
Oh no.
So the Apollo audience is a very hip audience, the hippest audience in the world. So then the announcer says, "Well, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Richard Pryor?" Applause, applause, applause. Now, a few hipper people are giggling because they knew that jokes come in threes.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, the third time, he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome Richard Pryor?" And so from out behind the curtain, you see this rough face of Richard Pryor that you probably know very well. He goes, "Hi, y'all. I hope I'm funny because I heard you Apollo N-words is great."
Oh God.
They just wouldn't stop clapping because they all loved that album,
Mm-hmm.
And he went on to do the most brilliant comedy show I've ever seen in my life.
It's one of the greats that I unfortunately missed, like getting to see live.
Well, you're lucky. I played with a lot of them live, but I didn't, since I was always working like 6 nights a week with my little band back in those days, that I didn't get to see many shows. If I wanted to see an Apollo show, I'd go in the afternoon. Because back then you could go for $1 and stay all day.
Wow.
All winos and junkies up in the third balcony. They'd go up there to get the air conditioning in the summer and get warm in the winter. They could be a little rowdy. You know who Nina Simone is?
No.
Well, she's a great, great, great performer. How do I describe Nina Simone? She's one of the nerviest. She has a lot of nerve, and she had a song called "I Love You, Porgy," and so she was the star of the show this particular time, and she comes out, and the winos and junkies up in the third balcony are making noise, and she did not take disrespect from an audience.
Oh.
So she sits at the piano and she starts playing some long, drawn out classical piece, glaring at the third balcony as only she could glare. And until they finally shut up, they knew. And then she went on and did a great show, But anyway, we're not about Nina Simone, are we?
No. Actually, here's a question for you, Billy. Like, I know you have a lot of great memories of the Apollo. Like, what was your first memory of the Apollo?
I think the first time I ever went was to see James Brown.
Wow.
Yeah, I think first time. Pretty sure of that. Yeah.
That's a great way to start it.
Yeah. I saw, I'm also a blues fan,
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Bobby Blue Bland.
Oh,
there.
yeah, Bobby Blue Band, yeah.
And boy, he was good. And Little Junior Parker was on there with it, and he was great. And Joe Hinton, the same week that Funny How the Time Slips Away was #1, and he hits that high note at the end, and all the women just wet themselves,
Oh, my God.
But of course, the most memorable time was, as a customer, that's one thing, but, that I got to perform on that sacred stage.
With Judy Clay.
With Judy Clay, yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, I was reading up, and I was watching the documentary about that. That must have been an incredible moment. Like,
wasn't that cool that we actually got a hold of some footage from the Apollo? Because here's the saddest thing is nobody thought in those days that the kind of music that we did was important enough to document on film. So you'll never see Apollo footage anywhere.
That's insane.
And this was I was going with one of the girls in the Chiffons, the ones that made He's So Fine, Do Lang, Do. Well, her little brother was like, just out of, I think he was still in high school. He came to the theater, and he has a little camera with him, and he shot that footage of us. And years later, did the documentary, I remembered, and I tracked him down, and I said, Kevin, you still got that footage? He said, yeah, I got it. And he sent it to us free of charge, and it's just a great historical moment.
Yeah, it was an incredible moment. Like, I heard how they said she's going to enter first stage right, and then you're going to enter stage left.
Correct. Which is the opposite of what the audience sees.
Yeah, for what we see.
Yeah.
And that like sort of like gasps from the audience, like, wait, he's the guy singing with.
Yeah, was already a hit, on the black charts, and especially in New York, it was #1 on the black stations and #3 on the white stations. And the stage manager was a fellow named Honey Coles of a famous tap dance team, Coles and Atkins, and so he wasn't expecting me because there was no pictures of us yet.
Right.
So you come up the night before for rehearsal with the house band, and he takes a look at me and says, oh, he said, now don't forget, this is 1 month after Martin Luther King was murdered.
Yeah.
There was riots going on across the river in Newark, New Jersey.
Yes, yeah. I live in New Jersey, and like I've read all about, and I actually did a lot of research on the. It was Newark and Plainfield; those two areas were, yeah.
Correct. So in fact, they were a little nervous because they didn't know that we were a mixed act. And anyway, so he said, yeah, Billy, Judy, you enter for stage right. Billy, you enter for stage left. Wait 3 steps. Let her come out 3. Then you and watch what happens. Because these old time show business guys, they knew all the tricks, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he had put us on second, which is a lousy spot. The opening act is always a highly choreographed act that, you know, a lot of fancy dancing and to get the audience excited. And then the second act is usually somebody who's new or untried and untested. And then it gets better, 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 star. You know, there's about 7, 8 acts on the show. So we go out there and we killed it, man. You know,
wow.
Loved us. And so after the first show, we were doing 5 shows a day for a full week. And he says, I'm gonna put you all on right before the star. He says, because ain't nobody gonna be able to follow you two.
You lived the green book in reverse.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was thrilling, you know, to somebody who'd been there as a fan, you know, and it was just a dream come true.
Yeah, and just the historical significance of it was incredible as well. You know, like,
you know, it's true looking back, but at the time, I didn't view it as, you know, we just picked Judy because she sounded right.
Right.
You know?
And she was she was Dionne Warwick's cousin, right?
Adopted, yes. So you had the family. This is the family that she came out of. It was the Drinkard Singers, and the that's the original name. And so Lee Drinkard was Dionne and Dee Dee Warwick's mother, and her sister, Lee's sister, was Sissy Houston.
Yep.
And one night, Sissy came to the show, came backstage with her little 4-year-old daughter.
Oh my God.
Who later became somewhat of note.
A little bit.
But yeah, but little Whitney was sitting on my lap in the dressing room for, you know, when we weren't on stage, you know.
Wow.
Because kids always liked me, you know, and they kind of, for some reason, they like to hang on me, you know.
And then years later, that was what, the Grammys she brought you on stage for?
No, that was either the Soul Train Awards or the American Music Awards, where I came up presenter. I was a presenter.
You were up there with, was it the Pointer Sisters?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Record with one of the Pointer Sisters for
Nina, right? I think.
Ruth.
Oh, Ruth Pointer. Okay.
Yeah, we did a song. I can't even remember the name of the song. It was a you know, some cop movie. And we did, what the heck's the name of it? Iron Eagle?
Oh, Iron Eagle 2. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I read.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, with Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah, and you know, I did another movie with Lou Gossett. I played cop number 3 or something like that. You know, and so, but he liked music, so when it came to lunchtime, he'd always sit next to me, and we'd talk, and he revealed something. He had been in a doo-wop group
Really?
called the Rip, who made the original version of A Thousand Stars in the Sky, and then he quit after that and became an actor of some note.
And now with Judy Clay, you also had Country Girl City Man. You also
That was
did.
Yeah,
but
that was also a hit.
Yeah, but I had read that I guess she got a new contract, or like was signed by a new label.
No. Well, I'll straighten that out for you.
Okay.
While we were playing the Apollo, Jerry Wexler, who was the big boss at Atlantic Records, called me up in our dressing room, and he said, "Listen, the distribution deal between Atlantic and Stax. She was signed to Stax, which was distributed by Atlantic.
Got it.
And so their deal ended, and so she had to go. That you guys aren't going to be allowed to record anymore because apparently the split up between Atlantic and Stax was not a pleasant one.
Oh.
And so he said, but don't worry. He said, I found a song for you to do as a solo. It's on a Bobby Goldsboro album, a song called With Pen in Hand. And he said, if you like the song, man, he said, when do you finish the Apollo? I said, well, we finish Thursday night. He said, okay, I'm booking our studio at 9 a.m. Friday morning. It'd be in the studio. Now, this is like after singing 7 days, 5 shows a day.
Wow.
So we went in there, and he had a Reef Mardine had done the arrangement, beautiful full orchestra in there, and so that became a hit. And then Judy, of course, then she recorded with William Bell on Stax, and they had a hit called Private Number. So
nice.
It worked out for everybody. And then, but apparently, Judy, I was really the only one that could get along with her. I mean, trusted me,
mm-hmm.
and we liked each other. So whenever they were doing a session with her, they asked me to come along to keep her cool in case she copped some attitude, but she didn't. When I was around, she behaved herself, and like I said, we liked each other, so it worked out cool. But eventually, Stax dropped her because of the attitude problem.
Oh,
but came back to Atlantic, and so Jerry said, "Well, look, you guys did well before. Why don't you go down to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and do a session, and we'll put out a single from that." And so Chip Taylor and I wrote a song quickly and a good one, and we went down to Muscle Shoals and recorded 4 songs, and they put it out. Reaching for the Moon was the title. Beautiful song, beautiful record. But the Apollo wanted us back because we were pretty popular in Harlem, This would have been our 3rd time back there. But they wanted us back. We hadn't had a hit record in about a year and a half. So, black audiences are kind of fickle. If you haven't had a hit lately, they kind of, unlike country audiences, which are very loyal. So anyway, but they were willing to have us back at the same price. But Judy said, well, my cousin Dion, she gets more money every time she goes back to the Apollo. I said, well, Judy, I says, every time Dion goes back to the Apollo, she has 17 more hits. And we haven't had a hit in a year and a half. Let's just do it, man. It'll help break the record.
Well, she knew they were going to be hits, though, right? Those psychic powers.
Dion.
Oh, yeah. But she couldn't be persuaded, unfortunately. So Jerry got mad and he dropped her from the label.
Now, you mentioned Chip Taylor. He's the one that he had written Storybook Children, right?
That's correct. And of course, Chip from Wild Thing and Angel of the Morning.
Yeah, those are pretty well known.
Yeah. But yeah, Chip. That was. See, what had happened was, I'd had one hit record as a writer, Ricky Nelson, Me Know a Whirl. And so in those days, Broadway was pretty open to young guys that came in, especially one that had a hit by Ricky Nelson. And so I could see anybody. I'd knock on the doors and they'd go in there and sit at the piano, play my little songs, and they'd say, get out of here, don't ever come back. That stinks. Or come back, give you $35 for this one, So anyway, this one publisher I went up to, April Blackwood Music, which was owned by CBS, Columbia Records and all that. And they liked my songs. And so they offered me a job for $75 a week to come in every day and write songs in a little cubbyhole. And he said, but you're still a young guy, you need a little seasoning. We got this guy Chip Taylor here, and why don't you write with him and see what you guys come up with. Well, the first song we wrote became a hit for Barbara Lewis, Make Me Belong to You. And that was our entree to Atlantic Records and our entree to Jerry Wexler. So when we had Storybook Children, that was why we wrote it. We figured, hey, let's write a duet. maybe we get a couple of Atlantic artists to record the song. So we made a demo. We played it for Jerry Wexler. He pounds his fist on the desk. He says, "Man, that's a smash." He said, "Get rid of the girl in the demo, and I'll record you on Atlantic Records." I said, "Oh my God, my favorite label." So, we made the record. It came out and it started to sell right away. Especially, and unusually, it started to sell in New York right away.
Oh.
Usually they start out of town,
Mm-hmm.
And then once they get going out of town, then, then New York deigns to play.
I was reading and watching as far as originally you had wanted Nona Hendrix from Patti LaBelle's band, the Bluebells.
Well, yeah. See, we were the house band at this nightclub, my little band and I, up in the border of Connecticut and in New York. And it was like the hottest club around. We had acts every weekend. We had maybe Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells on Friday and Little Anthony the Imperials on Saturday. And we played for all of them. We had a really good band. And so they liked it. All the acts loved us. Because most of the house bands in these clubs, they couldn't read music. And you're playing for Patti LaBelle, man. She's doing Danny Boy in D flat. She's doing You'll Never Walk Alone in B natural.
Oh wow.
And, these dudes can't play that stuff. And we were the only band really in the whole Eastern Seaboard that could play their music properly. So they loved us. And they were on Atlantic at the time also when they made Over the Rainbow. So my first thought was, well, Nona has a deeper voice than Patti, so it's better with mine. Let me call her up in Philadelphia, and see if she'll do. And they liked the way I sang too. So Nona said, yeah. So she came up and we recorded it with her, first of all. And then their manager got in on the act, and he said, "Oh no, if they have a hit, she'll quit the group and that blah, 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 blah."
Mm-hmm.
And Patti says, no, let them do it because this way we get Billy as our guitar player. Billy and Nona can do their hit and we'll do our little hits and, you'll be able to book the act for more money. And the manager couldn't understand that for some reason. So they auditioned 20 more girls,
Wow.
And they all sounded like they should be singing Broadway shows tunes. It was not what we were looking for. We wanted soul, baby. So it was Jerry Wexler who recommended Judy. And she came up and auditioned for us, for me and Chip. And we loved her voice, but she had this attitude. And so they said, after she left, they said, "You think you can handle her?" I said, "I got a sister like that, dude. I can handle anybody." So that's how that happened.
Excellent. Now you were saying your sister, you're going back to your roots. Okay, you were born in, what was it? Was it Riverdale, California?
Riverside, California.
Riverside, yeah. California. And your dad was William McCord.
Yeah, Bill McCord. He was a first lieutenant in the Army Air Corps. They didn't call it the Air Force yet, and he was a bomber pilot, B-24s,
wow.
World War II. And sadly, luckily, they were going to ship him over to the South Pacific, to bomb the Japanese.
Ooh.
And driving down from Riverside down to San Diego, where the ship was to leave from, some stupid kid throws a rock and hit him in his right eye.
Oh.
Blinded him in his eye. And of course, that probably saved his life because most of those bomber pilots got shot down. So, but he was, yeah.
Did he put that kid through school or what?
Pardon me?
He put that kid through college or what?
If they had ever found that kid, they would have put him through a window.
But he went on though to be a radio and TV announcer. Like what was it? Concentration, I think, was one of his
He did
shows.
some of the shows. He had Tic-Tac-Toe.
Oh, yes.
He was what they called a staff announcer at NBC for about 35 years. You know, the guys that say, now the NBC Nightly News, you know, one of those guys. And, you know, he made a decent living at that. My mom was a singer, started out as a soloist. And then, you know, when she aged out of that, she learned how to read music, and she became a background singer on the Perry Como show and on Perry Como's hit records, you know, Catch a Falling Star, all those things. And so that was that. We know it was show business people. My sister was a singer too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I taught her. She's a very good singer. I taught her how to write songs, and she made a couple of records. And you know, unfortunately, they didn't happen. You know, most records don't happen.
Most movies either.
Most movies, most television shows,
Yeah.
most love affairs.
We love talking about the TV shows that never happened.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, Chip and I wrote a theme song for a television show called Roomies.
yeah.
That lasted 6 episodes.
That was the Corey Haim one?
That was Corey Haim, yeah.
Burt Young.
And Burt Young.
Wow. What a combo.
As college roommates? Who the fuck came up with that idea?
Some wacko. I mean, Burt Young, you know, comes out of the Marines, decides to go back to college. It's hard to picture Burt Young at high school. So he was roommates in Corey Haim. And it was a stupid sitcom, you know, really dopey. Didn't deserve to go more than 3 episodes. But
Hey, those are my favorite. The stupider, the better.
oh, yeah. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you on that, man. Dumb is good. Well, you know what Phil Spector said? This famously, he said,
didn't do it.
huh?
I didn't do it.
No.
I didn't do it. Yeah. He said to his recording engineer one time, he says, I don't know. What do you think? The guy says, I don't know. Is it? And Phil says, is it dumb enough?
Yeah, exactly.
So here's these guys making all these records that everybody, you know, thinks is works of genius, and is it dumb enough?
the man, the creator of the Wall of Sound.
Yeah, he had a high opinion of his audience, I think.
There's nothing more infuriating when you make a joke that you know is brilliant because you have to know 6 other things to get the joke, and nobody else in the room gets the joke, and you're like, I hate all of you for being dumb.
Yes, that's exactly.
I hate all of you for not knowing the things that I know.
Mm-hmm. I've been there, done that.
But I gotta ask though, like, what was your, like, as far as I know, you said your mom was a singer,
Yeah.
and your sister was, you know, like into music as well. What was your first foray into music? Like, you know, like what was it that got you into, you know, the field of music? Was it like a particular song that you heard, or an act that you saw or heard, or
He told you the Pepsi jingle. In that moment, a legend was born.
we have Pepsi to thank.
And then he heard the Jello song. The big red letters stand for the Jello family. He said, "That's it."
Uh-oh. Well, my mom always brought home records. And so when I was about 6 years old, she brings home this one record that I just play over and over and over again. Nat King Cole Trio.
Oh.
The Frim Fram Sauce. I don't know if you know that one. But in our house, it was played until it wore out. And I became a fan for life of Nat King Cole. Wow. So that was that. But I didn't think about doing it for a living until I saw Chuck Berry. Now, I don't remember if I first saw him on American Bandstand or if I first saw him in the movie Rock, Rock, Rock. But I looked at that guy and I said, I want to be him. You know?
Oh,
Chuck
yeah.
Berry.
He was a Missouri boy, right? Wasn't he big in Missouri?
St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played with him a bunch of times. I played with Chuck when he was a $1,300 a night act in the mid '60s. I played with him when he was a $15,000 a night act, '70s, And then the last time I played with him was at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. I didn't play with him. I opened for him that time. And he was making $75,000 for a New Year's Eve.
Wow.
Cheap as they come, dude.
I've heard that. I've heard about Chuck.
In his Cadillac, he could buy the hotel. So when we got to Vegas, right, we went to get our baggage, and I see him coming up the escalator, and he's holding his guitar case all by himself, dressed in some cheesy 1973, polyester paisley shirt and a pair of yellow double knit bell-bottom pants from the 70s. And so I said, I'm going to bust his balls, man. So I said to the guys in my band who were with me, I said, watch this shit. I can curse, all right?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, of course, yes.
Yeah. So I said, watch this shit. So Chuck comes over, he recognized me. And I said, Chuck, dude, man, where'd you get the vines? That's what we called clothes, your vines. I said, where'd you get the vines, baby? And he got all excited. He says, oh, man. He said, this shirt, $3 at Goodwill.
That's my boy right there. That's where I shop. Yeah.
Dude, I'm not above that either, There's a Goodwill out in the valley that's right near all this NBC and CBS and all this.
Mm-hmm.
And so the wardrobe people bring a lot of the clothes to Goodwill after they use them.
Oh.
And you can get some badass stuff, man, in the Goodwill for like $6,
I only shop at Goodwill because I know that anything I buy, I'm going to be too fat to fit in 2 weeks. So I just got to go back to Goodwill and buy some more.
I hear you. I've been there too, brother. I just lost about 15 pounds. So.
Oh, awesome.
I found it.
You found it? But don't bring it back.
I go to Goodwill and I'm slowly working my way down that one clothing rack all the way to the end.
Oh man. Oh boy.
Oh.
I had my first laryngitis of my whole career about a month ago. Never had it before. I'm strong, And I couldn't. The doctor wouldn't let me talk for a month.
Oh, I can't picture that. Oh,
yeah, whispering is worse. Worse for your
throat. Yeah.
But I sang last night, and I got through it okay. I didn't hit the high notes at the end at this moment last night. I said I'm not going to take a chance on that.
Nah.
I'm going to wait till I'm completely recovered. But you know what? For some reason, I got bigger applause at this moment last night than I usually get.
Oh wow!
Maybe they don't like the high notes after all.
You got to throw them a curve sometimes,
When you don't hit the note, they know you're not lip syncing like every other performer they've seen the last 20 years. So they're like, "Hey, he's actually singing."
Yeah. Oh man, a real singer that sings.
What a world!
What world? Yeah. Well, I'm old school, man.
Oh yeah. I got to say also, you seem to be the king of the. How do you want to call it? The boomerang song, songs that keep coming back.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what I learned early on in my career, my so-called career. I learned that if you pick good songs, show business is cyclical. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So if you pick a good song, there's a good chance that 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, people will still like it.
Mm-hmm.
You pick trendy songs. Remember Chip told me this. He says, when you're writing songs, man, stay away from trendy.
Mm-hmm.
He said because he said what you want to do, you want to write a song that you can picture people singing 20 years from now.
Right. The timeless.
He said that's where your real money comes. Yeah.
So we got about 5 more years for Who Let the Dogs Out.
Oh man. Oof.
I bet you're wishing you wrote that hit, huh?
I'll tell you that.
Well,
But
you mentioned dreams coming true. I feel like you must have had 1,000,001 dreams come true by now between all the things you've done in your career. I mean, you sat next to Johnny Carson. I would die right there.
9 times, my brother.
9
I would
times.
die the first time, dude. That's insane.
He told his crew told me they liked us, and the crew told me that he said, you're Johnny's second favorite singer. I said, you get out of here. He said, every singer in the world on this show, man. Why me? He said, no. I said, well, who's first? He said,
Who let the dogs out? No, I'm
No.
kidding.
That Tony Bennett was his favorite singer.
Oh.
Apparently, and another friend of mine wrote his monologues, in the beginning of the show.
Mhm.
And he told me the same thing. He said, yeah, Johnny said you're his second favorite singer, man.
Wow.
So go.
And that's a nice nice company to be in with Tony Bennett there.
Yeah.
Right.
One time we played, I hate to play private parties, but there's certain people you can't say no to. There's a guy out here named Jerry Perenchio, who he was partners with Norman Lear.
Oh, yes.
And
We're familiar. Yeah.
one of the richest men in Hollywood, Jerry Perenchio, quietly rich. So he asked us to play at when he got married to his mistress.
Which one?
No, he only had one. He was in love with her, man. And Margie was her name. Her sister was married to Bobby Hatfield from the Righteous Brothers.
Oh, wow.
And I think Margie did better. So listen, you remember the show, The Beverly Hillbillies?
Yeah, we've covered it on this podcast.
He bought that house and the house on either side of it for privacy. That's how rich this guy was.
Wow.
And at the wedding, he had 120 violin players hired.
Only 120?
Yeah. Bring for the other 5, But, and all of the musicians, everybody got fed the same food as all the guests. And the guests were like Bob Newhart, Don Rickles, Dick Clark. I mean, all these big. So we're playing there at his wedding, and he paid like triple what we normally got paid. And he was just a wonderful, wonderful dude. And I don't remember why I brought him up for some reason. It's your job to remember what I'm trying to say.
You were mentioning him and Norman Lear.
Oh, you said you don't usually do private parties, but this one time.
So we did his. We would do it a couple of times, and then we played for their 5th anniversary, and that's what I was going to say. And Tony Bennett was going to perform also.
Oh,
but he did, and I'm not sure why. I could either make it look complimentary to us or not. Mm-hmm. Go either way. But he didn't want to follow us. Now the star is always the last guy on.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Bennett's the star. He should have been last, but he didn't want to follow us. Maybe because we were loud, rock and roll band. I don't know. But he was there. President Reagan and Nancy were there. Herb Alpert and his wife were there. I mean,
wow.
big. Jerry Perenchio knew everybody, man, and he was very generous. Very generous guy. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Like, tell us also, like, when you went back to California and started doing your the Monday night shows at the Troubadour. What was that like?
Well, I kind of didn't want to do it. The way I think if you saw the movie, I was eating at this restaurant. We always went to a soul food place, Maurice's Snack and Chat. Now, Maurice was a woman, a rather large black lady. And she had a tendency to do a little sipping, while she was at work. And so she was in her cups that night, and the place was crowded, and I tripped over Suzanne Plachette's foot. and Maurice spotted me. She said, "Billy Vera, so you done stepped on that lady's foot." And I said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry." And so this man comes up to me, says, "Excuse me, did she say your name is Billy Vera?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "My name is Matt Kramer. I run Monday nights at the Troubadour." He said, "I hear you got the best band in town." I said, "Well, I don't go out much. I don't drink. So, I don't know how good we are compared to other people, but we're pretty good." He said, "How would you like to play at the Troubadour?" I said, "Well, man, you have like a bunch of acts that come on. They're all singing dopey folk songs and, not my favorite kind of music. And 20 minutes. I said, I can't bring 10 guys in there, set up equipment and play for 10, 20 minutes. I said, it ain't going to work for me." He said, so he thought for a second. He said, "What if I let you go on at midnight and you play as long as you want?" So I said, well, I'll try that. Monday night, the worst night of the week. So I spoke to my manager about it, and he was an old school kind of manager. He said, "Do it." He said, "But no advertising, no flyers up and down Laurel Canyon. Don't even announce yourself. Just go in there and play." He said, "Within about 6 weeks, you'll know if you have what the people want." I said, "Okay." So the second week we were there, it was sold out. And it stayed that way for a year.
Wow.
Yeah, and we became the hottest band in town. Meanwhile, all these A&R guys from the record companies are coming in there to watch us, and they're clapping their hands, stomping their feet, loving every minute of what we're doing, but they wouldn't sign us because at that time there was this band called the Knack.
Oh, yes. Yes, My Sharona and Good Girls Don't. Yep.
Yes. So everybody was trying to sign a band like them, a 4-piece guitar band. But we were like 10 guys with 4 saxophones, a pedal steel, we were nothing like what they were looking for. So it was a whole year that we played there doing sellout business every Monday night. Finally, in 1 week, 3 record companies hit on us, And I decided to go with this company from Japan who had opened up an American office in LA. Because I figured we'll be the first act on there. We won't get lost. If we're on RCA Victor, we'll get lost there, Columbia. This way, we'll get the big push, which is exactly what happened. And they went all out, and we had a little hit record called "I Can Take Care of Myself," and
that went to 39 on the charts.
Yeah, I love it, man. It does his homework. So
that's why we don't pay him.
Exactly.
Because he'll do it for free.
Yeah. The thing about being a performer, man, they know we'll do it for free. So they let we deserve, maybe. Or maybe some of it get paid more than we deserve. I don't know. Anyway, so we went with them, and then the album comes out, and they decided that the follow-up to "I Can Take Care of Myself," because they held off on At This Moment because they knew they believed that would be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
But that radio doesn't like to play ballads,
right,
on acts. So give them a fast one first. So just as At This Moment comes out, the head of promotion, who was a very nice guy, gets in a fight with the boss and quits.
Oh.
So but nobody's there to promote it.
Mm.
So it went to 79, right?
Nah.
And then they let us do another album, and my old friend Jerry Wexler from Atlantic, I asked him to produce, and he did. We went down to Muscle Shoals, made a nice album, and then at that point, the Japanese pulled the plug on the company.
Oh.
Because they hadn't had the amount of success with the other acts that they had anticipated. So that was it. 36 years old. I'm too old to be a rock and roll star. And I'd run into Chip's brother. Chip's brother had come into the Troubadour. And Chip's brother is John Voight, the actor. So John came in with his acting coach, and he said, "Man, Billy, I hadn't seen you singing in a long time." He said, "Man, you're doing some shit up there on the stage, boy." He said, he said he said most of these guys that sing, they go, "Hey, L.A., how are you?" All that bullshit, showbiz bullshit. And he said,
Hey, YouTube, stick around for our interview with Billy Vera.
yeah. So, he said, you get up there and you just lay it out there emotionally, and he said, I haven't seen a singer do that. You should be an actor. I said, John, I'm not good looking like you. Who's going to hire me? He said, you ever heard of James Cagney?
Right.
So he said, come to the class. So the teacher was a guy named David Proval, who you might remember from The Sopranos and from Mean Streets. And he was a great teacher. So it took me a while to get used to it because I had never thought about acting before. It took me a while to catch on. But then people started asking me to be in plays, and I got a couple of offers to be on television shows, these dopey sitcoms that you like so much.
Yeah. I saw you were on Alice. I saw.
That was my first one. I think I played cop number 3 in that too, or something.
Did you draw a parallel to the other cop number 3 in your head, make it the same?
Oh, this was the first one. See?
I've played like 4 bus drivers, and I always pretend they're the same.
Yeah. Well, you pull your gun, you go in, they stick them or whatever, and you get paid scale. So that got me kind of started, and then I was asked to be in a movie called Buckaroo Banzai: The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Across the 8th dimension.
Yeah. And the guy came in and he saw me on stage rock. I didn't even audition. He said, I love the way you improvise on stage. He said, if you can do that in front of a camera, you got the job. I said, I can do it in front of your mother, You pay me, So we did it, and they had high hopes for the movie. In fact, they signed us up for 5 sequels.
Damn!
Wow.
But it flopped in the theaters because what they did was the studio said they thought it was going to be so big that they wanted to cut a half hour out of the movie so they could run it 5 times a day in the theaters instead of 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
Greed got into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the cutting of they lost a lot of really good shit by cutting out that half hour, including a scene, if I do say so myself, where it's at the end where we get the bad guys, and so some of the bad guys were played by stuntmen. So they said, you can do anything you want to them because you can't hurt them. Slap them around, punch them, do whatever you want. So I'm going there being all badass, and they just pretended to be hurt, So I noticed this one guy. You know what a snow cone is?
Mm-hmm.
Like a big round ball about that big.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had the bad guys, the aliens from outer space. They survived on sugar. So I'm searching this guy for weapons, and I pull out this snow cone, this pink snow cone, and in my head I said to myself, I get it. That's why they call me Pinky, because my grandmother called me Pinky, and it makes me remember my grandma and this snow cone that I took from this evil person, and it starts to make me cry, and it was really sad because my grandma's dead. She's fucking dead, man. So I'm not saying all this. I'm acting this. And he said, God, the director said, I hated having to take that out.
Is it on the DVD at least?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen the DVD.
Because that movie has grown into a huge cult classic.
It is.
And immediately after it flopped in the movies, it came out on VHS.
Yeah.
It became #1. It's a really crazy movie, but people love it. Man, when At This Moment was big, we'd go out on the road, not very often because we were too expensive, but everywhere we played, there was always a group of people that showed up in any part of the country that were Buckaroo fans, and they'd bring me pink gifts.
Nice.
Or wrapped pink, you know. I mean, it was like, and they knew my lines, you know. It's the weirdest.
I met the comedian Christopher Titus at a comedy show. I love Christopher Titus, and one of his first movies was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. He has like a small bit, and I brought the DVD to him at his show to have him sign it. And I remember him going, "Holy shit! Like you are the one guy who's bringing this movie to me."
Right, because you don't really know the impact that some of your work makes on people. You know, it can be surprising. You know, and then I went on to do a couple other movies. I did The Doors. I was in that, and
Blind Val Kilmer.
Yeah,
who was in character the entire time, on or off.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so nobody, we weren't supposed to talk to him, you know, so he could stay, he could be Jim. But I played the promoter of the infamous concert where he whips it out, you know. And so I get mad at his.
What do you mean? What does he whip out? Microphone? What?
Bills or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, and so I'm supposed to get mad at his manager, who's played by Ally McGraw's kid. The poor little kid, man. So now Oscar, what's his name? The director. Not Oscar.
Oliver
Stone. Is that Oliver Stone movie?
Yeah.
He said, look, have no mercy on this kid. That was his direction.
Oh.
So I called him like 14 different kinds of motherfucker, you know. And I made him cry. Oh. I made this poor kid cry. And Stone wouldn't say cut. He was like a sadist, you know. He wanted it to keep going and going and going. And finally I'm like, you know, what's he gonna yell cut? and so later he came out to the what they call a honey wagon, which is little trailers that our dressing rooms. And he said, he said, you were fucking great in that. He said, I'm going to use you again. I'm still waiting for the phone call.
Right. He's only made 90 movies since then.
Yeah, right. And no doubt doesn't have any idea who I am.
He must have gone to the Kubrick School of Directing. Keep going until they're dead inside.
Right. Yeah. So acting was fun until the record hit. And I had really good agents. These two good agents, both women. And one left the company to form a company with her husband, and the other one quit the business. But they were really good at picking through the auditions of the day to pick what something that I probably get, you know, that fit me. Whereas a lot of agents will just send you out for anything that, even though it's wrong for it.
Chinese midget.
Yeah.
Get in there.
It's kind of like Nick Cage's agent, right?
Yeah.
I auditioned for a thin black guy one time and I got it. It was Thin Black Pimp, and I went in and read it, and they go, "Oh, it's way funnier with your fat ass doing it."
There you go. There you go. You know, I did a lot of voiceovers for a long time, and I made more money doing voiceovers than just about anything else I ever did. So sometimes I would go in, and I'd be in the lobby, and it was like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 old black guys. You know, Scatman Crothers. I mean, people.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I said, "What the hell am I doing here?" And sometimes they would get the job, and sometimes I would. I guess if they didn't want somebody that sounded too black, you know, Billy Vera, yeah, he's black enough. Of course, today, of course, they'd run me out of town if I did that. But
Yeah, the Simpsons and all the Fox shows, they all fired their white guys doing black voices on all their shows.
yeah, that's true. And it wasn't like I was doing. I just talked the way I talk. But in fact, there was one show. I got a last minute call from my agent one time. How quick can you get over to such and such a studio? I said, well, that's only about 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from me. Get over there quick. What am I doing? Don't worry about it. Just get there. So I show up, and they said, look, we got the satellite. I guess they put the commercials up on a satellite, and then they go out to wherever. I don't understand the tech part of it. So he said, just read this stuff. Okay. Tonight on Magic Johnson's, we're going to have so-and-so, I announced the guest. Got it done, 20 minutes, boom. They got it off in time. And they said, oh, man, we auditioned every black announcer in town, because they wanted, it's Magic Johnson's show. We wanted a black announcer. They said, but we finally settled on a guy. And then he came into the studio this morning and he couldn't pronounce the names of some of the stars.
Oh, no.
He said, so one of the guys at the studio said, well, call Billy Vera. He sounds black enough, and he can work. So they offered me the gig. And it was like a 5-day-a-week show, $1,000 a day, to come in there for 15 minutes and tell everybody who's going to be on the show tonight. So I said, it's a good gig. Well, as great and charming as Magic Johnson is and was, it didn't work on camera for him.
No, not as a talk show. Yeah.
No, it didn't. And so the show got canceled after about 6 weeks, if it lasted that long. But yeah, that was one of those weird things, the inside showbiz stuff.
Hey, if Stuttering John can be the announcer for the Tonight Show, anything's possible.
Oh.
Jimmy Kimmel, who's the only nighttime guy I like anymore, but I don't like those other guys. And I can say that because they ain't gonna have me on their show anyway. Fuck them. but I like Jimmy because he did At This Moment with his band one night.
Oh, really?
It's on YouTube. You can look, and he nailed it, man.
Oh, wait, with the Roots?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Fallon who has the Roots.
Yeah, Fallon. Yeah,
Fallon. Yeah.
Like Kimmel, at all. No, Jimmy Fallon was a very talented guy and a nice guy. Because I on Twitter, I found him and I tweeted him, man, Jimmy, you did a great job singing my song. I loved it. Thank you for doing it. And he tweeted me back.
Oh, nice.
I've been loving that song. He said, I've been trying to get you on the show. He said, but when we didn't work out, I said, we figured we'd do it ourselves. I said, well, you did great, man. Do it again.
Nice.
I was going to say, so that song's been done on the Tonight Show at least a couple of times. One by the original and one by Jimmy Fallon.
I know who else sang it, Tom Jones recorded it. Do you remember when he had that comeback album where he sang that song by Prince?
Oh, Kiss, yeah.
Yeah, Kiss. Well, it's on that album.
Oh, wow.
So Tom would do it in his act. There's a couple of YouTubes on him doing it live. And Frida Payne, Band of Gold.
Yep.
She came to the show last night to see us. She's a friend of mine. And she recorded it. Who else? Oh, of course, Michael Bublé.
Oh, yes.
Dude, the first check I got from that record, he sold 14 million albums, for which I got paid. The first check I got was enough to pay for my dream album. I had always dreamed of doing a big band album. So we booked Studio A. We got 18-man orchestra of the finest musicians in Los Angeles, and I made my dream album, of old standards.
Yeah, I've from watching the movie, like it was saying about like how you what's his name, Count Basie and
Duke Ellington.
Duke Ellington. Yeah, it's like I'm like, oh
Love those.
wow.
We should say we keep mentioning the documentary, which is Harlem to Hollywood,
Yes.
Billy Vera story. It's on Tubi is where I watched it.
Yes,
Duke, and also Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And of course, my memoir is called Harlem to Hollywood as well.
correct. Yeah, that's that came first.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes, the man is an author, a singer, a songwriter, and also a what's a music historian and archivist too.
Yeah, that's the thing I do that is the most rewarding to me in many ways, not financially, but it's also the thing that pays the least. You know, it's funny how that works in showbiz. The thing that you love to do the most pays the least.
I think that's life in general.
Yeah,
Probably right. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could sit in a hot tub and get paid to play video games. Ladies of Twitch.
Well, hello there.
well, and also besides being such a great music historian, archivist, from being such, you also wrote the notes for Ray Charles's. What was the set?
It was called. It was the complete ABC recordings.
ABC, yeah.
I had written about 7 different liner notes for Ray. He's one of my major heroes, and so I studied him intently in many ways. So I think that one, the ABC stuff, was probably might have been the most recent one I wrote on him. And it was, so I had to pretty much ignore his early stuff on Atlantic, What I Say and Hallelujah, I Love Her So and all that stuff. And I started with the first ABC recordings. And so I was able to write something fairly interesting enough to win me a Grammy.
Well, you should have won before that for the it was the set, was it the doo-wop?
Doo-wop box.
Yeah,
well,
the doo-wop box 2, I think it was.
I was nominated for 3 other things. I was nominated for an R&B box on Rhino, the R&B from 1942 to 1975, 5 CD set. I was nominated for something else. I was nominated for another Ray Charles box set. Yeah.
Doesn't it suck when you have so many award nominations you can't even remember them all? I have that problem all the time too. I get it. I understand.
I'm just 81 years old and can't remember.
I feel you. I'm in the same boat. So it's like,
but yeah, I loved your thing about you were talking to your colleague about it was, I believe, a folk compilation box that won that year. It's like, yeah, that was the only shot at getting in this category.
I remember it was Best Historical Package, and it was a Ray Charles set. And I was sitting with my friend from Rhino Records, in the audience, and when they said this folk compilation won, and I'm not a folk music fan. I'm not sorry. I don't like it. It's boring. So I leaned over to him and I said, man, if you can't win for Ray Charles, who can you win for?
Right.
But usually most people that vote, I'm not saying they're idiots, but
you don't have to say it. We'll edit it in later.
Yeah, most people vote. They don't even listen to what you did. They probably didn't read the notes. They see Ray Charles or they see Elton John or whoever. Oh, I'll vote for that. It must be good. No, you shouldn't vote unless you really read the notes or you listen to the music at least.
Right.
I actually seen Ray Charles live when I was very young. He was actually here in the town I'm living in now. It was must have been early 90s because it was before I didn't know the gravitas of what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Until I was older and was like, oh my God, I saw Ray Charles. And Aretha Franklin was also here. And we used to do a summer, it was a summer concert series they would do every year. And they would have these huge names. And I was seeing them as a kid going, yeah, whatever. I'm going to go get some more popcorn, you know? And then I got older and I was like,
what was I thinking?
Yeah, I got to record Ray.
Oh,
Yeah, me and my friend did 4 Lou Rawls albums. And on the first one, we actually brought his career back on Blue Note Records. And so one of the things we wanted to do, let's do a couple of duets, bring on some, big names. We brought in Diane Reeves, the great jazz singer, and we brought in Ray to sing a Sam Cooke song I picked out. So we recorded Lou back in New York because we wanted to use Richard T. and Cornell Dupree and those musicians that live back there. But Ray lives out here. So we had to bring the tape. In those days, use this big, thick tape, 800 tracks or something like that. And at his studio, which is not exactly a first-class studio. So he takes the tape from me. He puts it on the machine. He threads it. He's a blind man.
mm-hmm.
He plays the tape through. He's listening to it. And here's a saxophone solo. He said, that sounds like Fathead, David Fathead Newman, who used to play with Ray. I said, yeah, that's Fathead, man. He said, it's a good solo. He said, but it should come in the course of the song. It should come about 8 bars earlier. And before I could say yes or no, he's got a razor blade in his hand. He's cutting the tape to move that solo.
The old manual edits.
But you know what? He was right. It did sound better where he wanted it. And that's why they call his ass the genius. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And it was great. But, I was a little intimidated working. I called up Jerry Wexler, who produced all those old records of his. I said, Jerry, I'm going to produce Ray next week. You got any advice? He says, man, you don't produce Ray Charles. You just get out of his way and let him do it. But I did. Genius producer that I am.
Oh my God. I have to ask, with all the artists that you like, and so some of the ones that inspired you, what was the one that you wish you had gotten to actually, duet with or work with that that never came to fruition?
Dogs out.
No, you stop it over there.
I'm trying to think. One of my favorite singers who died around 1960 was Jesse Belvin. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He had a song called "Good Night, My Love, Pleasant Dreams, Sleep Tight, My Love." Wonderful, wonderful singer. Subtle, very subtle. Like a mediocre singer would hear Jesse Belvin and say, "Oh, anybody can do that." No, dude. Motherfucker, you. Because it's, and I studied him. I studied Jesse because I knew the greatness that was in that voice. And you have to really work harder to make it sound easy, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as acting. When you see, she's a great actress, Meryl Streep, but sometimes I can see her acting, and you're not supposed to see them acting.
No,
you're supposed to believe them. And so that's when, and a lot of singers are that way too. They're too busy showing off their vocal chops. I can sing this one word and I can make 27 syllables out of it. Well, that's showing off.
Right. Yeah,
it's narcissistic.
It's vocal gymnastics. It's not singing. It's just
It's also a very narcissistic way of performing.
Mm-hmm.
Your job is really to connect with the listener or the viewer. You know, you're to let them feel what you're feeling, and you can't do that unless you find a way to make yourself feel it.
Have you watched any of the people on YouTube who react to like music?
I love those, man.
Have you watched any of the ones reacting to yourself?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
they're incredible. Like to see young people discovering you.
They're hilarious, man. I love them, man. Yeah, I've seen about 10 of them, I think. You know.
Oh yeah.
My son, who's going to be 37 in November, my youngest, he heard the music I like growing up, you know. Mm-hmm. And one day, about 3 years ago, he came to pick me up to take me to lunch or something. And in his car, and on a CD, he's got Duke Ellington, Take the A Train. Which was a record he heard a lot when I was a kid. This one version, because Duke recorded Take the A Train umpteen times, but there's this one version from 1951. Betty Roche does the great scat, vocal, and it's an amazing arrangement. About a 5-minute record. Charlie's in there, man, in his car, and he's singing along with the horn parts. Singing along with a very difficult horn. I said, my God, I did something right in my life.
I had a buddy in my car one time. He was looking through my CD collection, and he goes, what the fuck is your collection? You have Sinatra and the Four Tops and DMX and the soundtrack to Little Shop of Horrors. He goes, it's not a collection as much as it looks like you ran into a record store and just grabbed a bunch of shit and ran out.
But a lot of people don't understand people like you and me who have broad taste. Mm-hmm. And I think a guy named Kevin Falcone from my neighborhood, he and his brother Frankie were a couple of, tough guys from the Bronx that moved up to White Plains. And Kevin he was about 4 years old, and he's still one of my very best friends. Whenever I'm back in New York, I always go to see him. He worked in a record store in White Plains called Hunt's Music. And he was one of these guys, he was so hip. He was the first hip guy I ever met. Imagine your life without knowing anybody hip. He was a guy, he reached back in the bins where the record 45s were. If you asked for a record, oh, here it is. He didn't look. He knew where everything was. So, he saw me coming into the record store. I'd save my little snow shoveling money or my lawn mowing money, and I'd come up with $1 and I'd buy me a record. And so he said, he says, let me play you some other shit. He starts playing me Horace Silver. And then he's playing, a song from my father. And then he's playing Joe Cuba Sextet, To Be With You. And I said, wow. All stuff that was not on the top 40 radio.
No, not mainstream.
No. And to this day, I am grateful to Kevin for opening my mind to stuff that was just not dopey radio music, top 40 music, which I like too. The first record I ever bought, I bought two. I bought Honky Tonk and Blueberry Hill, Fast Domino.
Well, just to bring it into the sitcom vein, that little song you had that only reached 79 on the charts, it made a little bit of a comeback.
Thanks you to a phone call, what I call the golden phone call. This was that period where we had no record deal. I was eking out a living as an actor. I hadn't gotten into voiceovers yet. And my little puny royalties from my old songs, Storybook Children and some of those songs. But I'm living okay because I'm frugal. My mother was frugal. And I was poor at one point when I first left home. I lived in
I call that being Dutch.
Yeah, being Dutch. Yeah. Well, you say that because part of my mother's heritage was Dutch. and she was Dutch in Alsace-Lorraine. You know what that is?
No.
That's the area on the border of Germany and France. And depending on who won the most recent war, it's either in Germany or in France. Alsace-Lorraine. So that's where my mother's people were from. So, and of course, that took me away from what we were talking about. Give it to me.
No, about that golden phone call that you received.
The golden phone call, right. Okay. So anyway, he says, my name's Michael Whitehorn, and I produce and write for a show called Family Ties.
You may have heard of it.
Which was #2 in the country at the time because it came on right after Cosby.
Yep.
We don't need any Cosby jokes at this juncture. So anyway, he said, we were at the club the other night. We heard you do a song that we think would be perfect for an episode that we have coming up where Michael, meets the girl of his dreams. I said, what's the name of it? He said, I don't know. Well, nobody ever gets that name at this moment right. Oh, that song you do, If I Could Just Hold You Again.
What did you think? Yeah.
What would you think? Yeah.
And it's a lousy title. The first one to admit it. Because I couldn't even think of a title for it after the song was finished. And my manager at the time, just call it at this one. It doesn't matter, So anyway, so we figured out that's what it was. And I said, well, call Warner Brothers. They own the publishing on it and make a deal with them. So he said, well, the record you made of it is live. I said, I can't have somebody going, hey, sing it, Billy, in the middle of Michael Jackson. So would you mind coming in? We'll pay for you to record the song without an audience. I said, great. Okay, boom. So we did it. Got some mail. What's the name of that song? Who's the singer? Where can we get it? Well, it wasn't out. So that gave me an idea. I said, well, maybe the song actually has something. So I called whoever would still get on the phone to me at that point to see if any record company would let me re-record it. Nobody was interested. So then they used it the following season when the girl breaks up with Michael J. Fox. Mm-hmm. This time, in the meantime, I had made a deal with my friend that owned Rhino Records. I said, how many records do you need to sell to break even? He said, well, we got low overhead here at Rhino, a few thousand copies, I said, well, I'll guarantee you 2,000, man, if you put out an album, including that song. Maybe somebody will buy it, He said, sure. And he only did it because he liked me. He'll tell you to this day, he never thought he'd make a nickel off of it. So by the time they got it out, we missed the reruns. And then the following season, the girl breaks up with Michael J. Fox. And this time, NBC, the story of the song, Boy Loses Girl, is the story of the episode, Boy Loses Girl. And consequently, the great television, millions of audience people connected with that, Boy Loses Girl. And NBC called up Rhino. They said, we got more phone calls than at any time in the history of the network for this song. But this time the operators on the phone would say, oh yes, that's called At This Moment, and the singer is Billy Vera, and blah, blah, blah. So next thing you know, people are calling radio stations. People are calling record stores. They want to get this record. It was that unheard of. There was no promotion because Rhino wasn't in the business of hit records. They didn't know the first thing about promoting a hit. All they knew was they hired some guy, and they'd bring me in every day to the office, lock me in a room with this guy, and we'd call up 8,000 radio stations. Hi, I'm Billy Vera. When I'm in town, I listen to KRAP. Yeah. And you do that about 80 times in a morning, and it helps get your record played. My mother, who at the time was dying of cancer, wow. She was living in Boca Raton, and she starts calling up the local morning radio shows, and those guys are nasty fucks, those guys, those wise asses. And they when she called, I'm Billy Vera's mother, would you play his record? So they'd bring her on and make fun of her.
Oh,
she,
God.
And she knew they were making fun of her, but she didn't give a shit. As long as they played her boy's record.
Aw.
Nice.
God bless her, right? Rest her soul.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, it started to build like in a very grassroots way, without much promotion at all. And next thing you know, we're leaping over Madonna. We're leaping over Richard Marx, all these, Bon Jovi, all these people.
Yep.
And next thing you know, it's number one. We got the number one record in the country. I'm 42 years old.
Did you realize the power of a show like Family Ties before?
No, because I had songs on shows before, but usually they're played in the background and nobody really notices them. In this case, it was featured. So maybe that had a lot to do with it too.
Well, especially back then too, they didn't have to seek it out at that point. That song's being tuned directly into their living room.
Yeah. Beauty of getting a song played on American Bandstand. 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Get the kids and a lot of the bandstand audience was housewives.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. They sort of watched and it reminded them of their youth,
Mm-hmm.
young moms, that kind of thing. And also when the show was on in Philadelphia, those kids could really dance. The kids in Hollywood couldn't dance for shit. They all wanted to be actors, and so there was a lot of narcissism in there, and they'd mug for the camera. Where the Philly kids, they were oblivious to the camera, and so it was like being a fly on the wall, watching real teenagers doing their thing,
Mm-hmm.
And we all knew the names of all the kids. When I was young, we watched the bandstand, and so. That was the bandstand. Anyway, so the record, boom, and then I got to sing on bandstand. Here I am, 42 years old, going bald, and I'm singing. Little 15-year-old girls are screaming for me. And the bizarre thing about at this moment was it covered every base. It was popular among junior high school kids. There were stories of junior high school kids made it their class song.
Yep.
And then we had 65-year-old married couples that loved the song. It was on the pop charts. It was on the R&B charts. It was on the country charts and the adult contemporary charts. It was one of those across the board hits that appealed to every different kind of person.
Even CGI teddy bears like that song. Ted,
you got the thing for the furry thing, huh?
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Nick, did you send him my clips?
Hey now. But
Hey now.
no, but
Remember what's his name had that Gary, that show?
Larry Sanders Show.
Oh God, that was such a good show.
Oh yeah.
The guy that played this announcer. Hey now.
Rip Torn?
No.
Tambor, wasn't it?
Jeffrey Tambor.
Oh, Jeffrey Tambor. Yeah.
They were both. Rip Torn was perfect for that role. He was just like those guys really are. Oh man, we watched that show like all the time, man.
You would have been perfect on that show.
Maybe, yeah.
You could have played a parody of your own Tonight Show appearance. That would have been brilliant. Yeah. What the hell?
I'm not above that either.
Yeah.
No, but I remember though when I'm of the age when that was in my teen years when At This Moment came out, and I remember like you said, it transcended. It wasn't like shoehorned into one style of music. And when I first heard it, I thought like, this has got this is such a great song. This has got to be like a redo of a classic. And then I'm like, oh my God, this is new. This is like, what is this? Because it had that timelessness, like you said.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because when we were at the Troubadour and these A&R guys came from the record companies, the guy that finally signed us to the Japanese company, he said, he told me this later. He said, a lot of these other A&R guys, they thought you were doing like old songs, standard songs that they didn't know.
Mm.
They said that his songs are too good to be written by a guy in a band. So you're kind of right there. Anyway, yeah.
But you've had some other success also with the sitcom the theme songs too.
Oh yeah, first one was Empty Nest. Yeah,
A childhood favorite show of mine, absolutely.
that lasted 4 years. You sure that one didn't last too long for you?
I was obsessed with the Golden Girls because of my grandma, so I was already into the world of. I'll hang out with the dog and the neighbor.
Yeah.
And I knew the daughter on there from Child's Play. She got murdered by Chucky. So,
Ooh, wow. A friend of mine who now that I'm getting old, he likes to drive me to my gigs, and he's 60 years old, but he says all his life he liked older women, and I don't mean a little bit older.
Sophia from the Golden Girls older?
Yeah, been a Golden Girls groupie. You know what? That's why I don't judge people, because everybody's got a different fetish, and what sounds creepy to one person is cool to another person,
right?
So who am I?
I'm sick of hearing about armpits. What's all the armpit love these days?
Well, listen, I could go for that. If a Jennifer Aniston came out and her armpits were nice and shaved and clean, I might work on that.
No, they like them hairy now. That's the problem.
No, hairy, the no for here. I ain't got.
The feet thing was one thing that seeped into the lexicon, and now it's all about show me your armpits. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
And those guys, the next step in that is girls that have not washed their armpits.
Oh,
rough.
I have heard "Let me smell your armpits" or seen it in comments, so it's already there. It's already there.
Wait, wasn't that an old standard? Let me smell your armpits. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was "Let me call you sweetheart." I don't know.
May I smell your armpits? Oui. You can probably smell them from over there. Oh.
Now you owe some money to ASCAP for doing that. So.
Oh no.
Oh Lord.
But also you did the theme for King of Queens.
Buddy, that came as a total surprise. A friend of mine who I hadn't spoken to in a few years called me up one day. He said, I just took over the head of music for Columbia Pictures or whatever the company was. He said, we got this show coming on, and I thought it might be cool to have you sing it, the theme song. He said, I can't have you write it because we're kind of stuck with the song. And I said, okay. I said, well, come on over. He plays it for me. He said, what do you think of the song? I said, it sounds like Paul Simon's idea of a country song. Something that the Professor's Lounge.
Was the pacing of the song different originally too, or was it just?
It was. I don't remember honestly, but anyway. So he said, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. They said, what, you think you could do something to fix it up? So I went back to Phil Spector, and I said, well, it's got to be dumber. I said, essentially, your show is the Honeymooners sideways. Dumb fat guy drives a UPS truck instead of a bus like Ralph Cramden, and a hot who's smarter than he is. I said, it's the same show. He said, it's time to do something like that. So he said, I said, let's tell you what. I said, let me use my guys in my band. He said, we'll make it as dumb as shit. And so we went in there and we did it, and it came out pretty cool. We did one take, it was perfect, and then we did a second take for safety. And got paid union scale, went home, forgot about it. Well, the show lasted 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
I got a check yesterday for $7,600
Wow.
for a
It's
show.
been off the air for like 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's like having that gig was like having a hit record.
Wow.
People, that show, like that, I think that's actually our most viewed episode is the episode we talk about that show. Like that show is huge. People are obsessed with that show. I've seen the show through, I don't know, 12 times all the way through. I've sang that song of yours a million times every time I watch an episode of that show.
Yeah,
so that show has an incredible following.
Yeah, well, in Germany and Austria, when the show was on the air in first run, I'd get these emails, from Germany and Austria. It says, well, King of Queens, very big here in Germany. You should put it out as a single. I said, dude, it's like 32 seconds long. That's 32 seconds, sing 45 RPM. And if I was the writer, I would have offered to extend the song, but couldn't. He said, the one guy that wrote me he says, you'll be big as Hasselhoff in Germany.
Oh, no. Hasselhoff, big. That's a big thing over there.
He was huge.
Yeah.
I knew him. He was a big fan of my song Room with a View.
Of the blues.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so one night, somebody took me to see somebody at the Forum here. The Forum is like Madison Square Garden,
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm in the bathroom. I always go in the stall because I'm shy, So I'm in the stall and I hear somebody going, I got a room with a view. I thought it was just some friend of mine messing with me, right? So I put on my Barry White voice. I said, who is that using my voice out there? David. So I finish up, zip up, go out there, and there he is, all 7'5" of him. And I said, wow, it's you. And he said, oh, it's you. I said, you didn't know I was in there? He said, no, man, I just love that song. I said, you really know that song? He takes out his phone and he plays it for me. It's his answering machine answer.
Oh, wow.
So he says, listen, I'm getting married soon. He said, man, I'd love to have you guys play at my wedding. He said, I could get Universal to pay you whatever you want. So I said, yeah, I'll do that. He was a nice guy. I liked him. So we did that. And then later he calls me up. He says, I got this new show. He said, I'm calling up all my friends to be on it, man, because we don't have much of a budget yet.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what is it? He said, it's called Baywatch. I said, I want you to play on it. I said, I ain't wearing no Baywatch. What's it about? He said, we're the blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I ain't wearing no bathing suit, man. He said, no, you be like my friend. So I go in there, I do an episode of Baywatch, And then a couple of years later when Baywatch, blew up huge.
Yep.
They had a spinoff called Baywatch Nights.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they hired Lou Rawls to play a regular part as a club owner. So I called up Lou. I said, Lou, Hasselhoff's favorite song in the world is Room with a View. I said, tell him to let you sing it on the show so I can make a couple of dollars. So we did that. Then they called me to do another part. This was, you want to talk about a stupid show. This ended up being the last sitcom I ever did. I played a Brian Wilson character in flashback. So I'm wearing a bad toupee.
Mm-hmm.
And in the episode, the band, I'm drunk, sleeping as we open, and the band is raping a groupie. Cut to the future, no, the present, and now I have no more toupee, and the daughter of the groupie is killing the musicians one by one.
Oh.
Whoever thought of this? and I'm next because she doesn't know that I didn't do the deed.
Mm-hmm.
So she becomes my girlfriend. And she takes me out on her yacht. Why she has a yacht, I don't know, but she does. And she hits me over the head with a Telecaster and ties me up and puts me in a rubber life raft, sets me adrift, takes out a gun and shoots the life raft, and I'm drowning. And then Hasselhoff comes and saves me. I worked all week on that show. At the end of the day, I get a call to go over to CBS and do some voiceovers. I made more money in the half hour I was at CBS than I made the whole week on Baywatch.
Wow.
And I said, you know what? This acting gig is not fun anymore.
Well, you played 2 different characters on both shows, right?
Yeah, but they were like 3 years apart or something, like 4 years apart.
But they're in the same continuity, right? Like Hasselhoff's the same character from Baywatch, right?
Yeah. It's Baywatch Nights. So
I always love shows when they have people on as different characters. Like they'll come for a cameo and then they'll hit it off and they'll be back as random.
I watch all the old Perry Mason shows late at night on MeTV.
Love that channel.
Well, at 11 o'clock, 11:30, whatever it is, Perry Mason comes on 5 nights a week, and I see often a lot of the same. What you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
A lady friend of mine's mother was an actress. She was in Blackboard Jungle, the mother, and she showed up in about 5 or 6 Perry Mason episodes as different characters.
I Love Lucy was big for that too. Lucy would just these character actors and bring him in as different. He's the mailman. Now he's the desk clerk. Now he's this. Now he's in Desi's band. Like,
well, it's if you're a lot of actors are assholes, and they're children, and so you can't depend upon a lot of them. So when you find some that'll show up on time, suit up, dress up, not give you any crap, and you'll want to use them again. Why go for an unknown quantity, when you can go with somebody will do the job.
True.
So,
I wanted to ask you, because you worked with one of my favorite characters of all time.
Who?
Father Guido Sarducci. I've always had a fondness for Don Novello as Father Guido Sarducci.
I didn't really have much interaction with him, even though we did the show. Again, it goes back to Steve Binder directed the show. He hired us, and we all the guys in the band, we all dressed up in priest outfits,
right?
Roman collars,
and that was just a video special of his, wasn't it?
Yeah. But ever aired on television or not? Could have been, might have been. Yeah. That was kind of fun. We did it on a college. We shot it on a college campus.
Mm. Yeah, he did a lot of college tours. That's probably.
He did?
Yeah, he used to do college tours all the time.
I bet that makes perfect sense.
So you never got any follow up with like the Empty Nest anywhere near you got with King of Queens?
And
I mean, as far as audience reaction there was never like, oh, that song's awesome, or
no, not the Empty Nest song. No, it was
really?
okay. But they did something really stupid. I think for season 2 or 3, whatever it was, some genius decided to update the song. But it was like before it was like a Dixieland beat, and that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
The new version, they wanted to discoize it, and I thought it was so lame. Lame, man. They did that, I'm a big soap opera fan. Young and Restless is my favorite. Been watching it for 40 years. And they at one point they tried to modernize their theme song, and there was such an outcry from the fans that they had to go back to the original.
We've done a few episodes on TV theme songs. The King of Queens did rate pretty high, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
But we loved discussing themes. And I always hate when, like F Troop, for instance, when the second season they just made it like an instrumental version of
the first song was the first season. It was a story song, like
right.
those like themes used to be. But
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
second, they, in color, and it was all instrumental at that point.
And then we talk about how shows now, they don't even have theme songs. They just go, bam, show starts.
Yeah, truthfully.
They have a lot of money doing it that way. And the same with not using a singer, because you see the musicians get paid through the musicians union.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different union scale. And the singers get paid through Screen Actors Guild.
Oh,
So you
okay.
get paid what the actors get paid. You know,
Yeah,
not the star get paid with it. So I get these checks all the time. And where my guys in my band, they get like a $15,000 check maybe once a year, because the musicians union is not as powerful.
Yeah, I just picture musicians doing theme songs today, and they're like one guy on a drum, he's going,
Yeah,
well,
that's
now?
it.
No, not good. We good? That's the opening and the closing credits. Yes. Okay. Cool.
Okay. That's I don't even know what scale is today. I don't know. I'm old enough to remember when it was $56 was union scale.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your worst moment on a television set?
Oh boy, I can't think. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't even know remember the name of the show, but it was one of those Brat Pack kind of girls, the one with red hair.
Molly
Molly
Ringwald.
Ringwald?
Yes. I don't know if she liked me or didn't like me, but she never spoke to me. Usually they try to be nice to you, or
You hope.
they know who I am. And so they actors want to be singers, singers want to be actors. So, they want to be nice to me because I'm a singer, but I don't think she spoke 2 words to me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Bitch.
Cut that out. Molly's actually on next week. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Well, it's better than saying she's your cousin.
Yeah, right.
But no, generally everybody was nice to me. Really nice. Remember Sheldon the painter on what's her name show? Murphy Brown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that one in a while.
Well, they spun him off on his own show.
Oh, really? From Murphy Brown they did?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Might have only been 1 season, but really nice guy. Really nice guy. Loved music. And he loved all the oldies that, old CDs that I co-produced and brought out, reissued stuff. And he knew some deep stuff. I never thought a mere actor would even know. Joe Liggins, he knew Roy Milton. I mean, these people that nobody knows except me.
Wow.
And I managed to get their music reissued. But you know who was like those guys too? A friend of mine was doing audio on some of these rap videos, and these hardcore gangster rappers, man. They said, Billy Vera? Holy shit, man! He put out that Joe Liggins record album CD.
Wow.
And my friend said, you know that? It was like before your mother was born. So, you'd be surprised at how, how knowledgeable some people can be that you don't think would be knowledgeable.
So true.
Well, even if you look at some of the stuff they sample, you would go, why do they even know that song exists?
Yeah.
They're sampling it to make a new hit,
Mm-hmm.
I know. I had a song I wrote for my friend's band that never went anywhere, but some rapper sampled the guitar solo from that song. I had nothing to do with the guitar solo. And yet, as the songwriter, I got paid.
Wow.
That's
nice. Nice unexpected little check.
It wasn't. I don't think I made much money off of that, but it was kind of interesting that would happen. Also, on commercials, whoever the people that are doing music supervision on some of these shows are really hip. Every once in a while I'll hear some bizarre oldie, like on Christmas time they used the Moonglows' "Hey Santa Claus" last year, and the Moonglows are all dead now, but and Harvey Fuqua, who wrote the song, but his estate gets bread for that, and then Professor Longhair, the great New Orleans piano player, they use a piece of his song where he's not even singing, he's whistling on some big commercial, and those things pay really well. During the time I was doing a lot of reissue work, we're doing a lot of work for Capitol Records, and I'd find these things that had been in the vaults, the dusty vaults for like 50 years. Nobody's played them or heard them. I'd stick them out on a CD, and like hip people, cool people would be grateful. So somebody found a song by this woman named Julia Lee from Kansas City, and the record had not been heard by anybody in 50 years. Some music supervisor heard it, used it on a Pillsbury commercial. I'm watching Young and the Restless one day, and a Pillsbury commercial comes on, and here's King Size Papa or whatever it was of her songs. I said, holy shit. So the guy that owned the publishing on the song was this old geezer friend of mine. I like to hang out with older guys. You learn so much from them. And Mickey Goldson was his name. I said,
Nick.
I said, Mick, it's Billy. I said, man, you owe me 10%. I think he knew I was fucking with him. He said, what you mean I owe you 10% for what? I said, Mick, Julia Lee, Pillsbury, man, you must have made a pocket full of money off of that. He said, oh yeah, I made $50K.
Wow.
$50K, dude, for a song that had been sitting dead for like 50 years.
Well, for Pillsbury, that's a good amount of dough.
Yeah.
You know what I see a lot now too? Like old songs will show up in new horror movies and people rediscover them.
Right.
They'll take an old hit and they'll slow it down all creepy like, and they'll put it in the trailer. And all of a sudden a whole new generation is like, what's that song?
Oh man.
And horror's huge again. So those movies are typically hits.
That's great to know. When I was a teenager, there was a big fad for horror movies. There would always be some guy in, Dracula makeup on 11 o'clock at night. And he would show the movies.
The horror hosts. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Have you ever watched a horror movie in a black theater?
Oh, well.
No, but I used to go with my adopted black cousin, and she was well worth the ticket price.
Yeah, I've. There was
Look at
one in.
He gonna fight you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they're.
There's the great scene in Scary Movie 2 with Brenda.
Yeah.
That parodies that whole.
Yep. I gotta ask you, Billy. Like, for today's generation, if you could turn them on to like one artist that from way back, what would be an artist that you'd want them to be listening to?
I would have to say Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong, because I've been listening to a lot of his stuff lately, going back to the early 30s, early 1930s. And if you can close your mind to the band that's backing him in 1932, and listen to his trumpet playing and his singing, and some of the shit he plays on that trumpet is as modern as tomorrow. Miles Davis, who never complimented anybody, he once said there was a period where Armstrong was thought of as an Uncle Tom. They said, oh man, he's smiling all the time. And people would, he was we all go in and out of favor. And he was out of favor probably in the early 50s. And people were kind of knocking him. And Miles, to his credit, he said, listen, let me tell you, motherfuckers. He said, there ain't nothing that none of us play that Louis didn't play first and better.
I've never heard any other musician with his vocal style either.
No.
No, a lot tried, but they couldn't do it. You know, he's phrasing, and you know, he was good friends with Bing Crosby. And a lot of people that know Bing from the later years, they think, well, he's a square, you know, he's corny. But if you listen to Bing in the early 30s during the same period, he was singing hip. He would play with the melody. He'd sing around it, and it was just beautiful to listen to what he was doing. He was experimenting with that, because most singers in 1932 were just singing a straight melody as it was written,
Right?
You know, not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he got some of that from Armstrong, but what Louis got from Bing was, Bing said to him, he said, you know, man, you're singing all these songs that are great. He said, but nobody knows them. He said, you ought to sing some popular songs of the day, you know? So he started doing that. Ain't Misbehaving, you know, that.
Mm-hmm.
And he became a star because to have that voice singing Alley song was monstrous. Yeah, he was really great. Like I say, later on, I first really got hip to the fact that he was any good. There was a movie called High Society with Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, Grace Kelly. It was a remake of the Philadelphia Story, and Armstrong's in there, and he gets to do a duet with Bing, and it's great. It's great, and I'm like 11 years old, you know, when I'm watching this at the Radio City Music Hall with my mother.
Oh wow!
She so well. So I became my mother's surrogate husband, you know. She would take me, I was her date, you know, all the time. When she wanted to go to a Broadway show or a movie or something. And I got to see all the great Broadway shows, West Side Story, original cast, Funny Girl with young Barbara Streisand. I mean, you name it. Thanks you, Mom, you know.
Incredible.
I didn't realize she did the stage show and the movie.
Yeah. That didn't always happen. You know, I'm trying to, there's one example that it was unfair that the girl that did the stage show should have done the movie. I can't remember. Julie Andrews, maybe? I can't remember.
I think the girl from Little Shop of Horrors was the one from the stage show because they couldn't find another Audrey.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember her last name was Green, I think.
I don't remember.
No, the monster was green, Nick.
Well, I know Audrey too is green. No, but I mean the actress singer.
So, is there anything that we missed that you want to go over or anything like that?
I think that we've covered a lot, and I'm just thrilled that you came on the show to talk to us, my friend. This is exciting.
Do it, man.
We don't have too many legends on the show. I mean, other than me. So
that's a legend in your own mind.
I'm more the legend of Boggy Creek, but
over the place.
No, but yeah, truly a legend. And again, what you've done, be it the songwriting, be it the singing, be it the musical historian, that timeless, just like your music.
You know, my last album that I made I called it Timeless for that reason. Unfortunately, COVID came along, and they closed down the warehouse where the CDs were kept.
Oh no!
And I got it. I got the record. A friend of mine got the record played on got a single played on a bunch of stations in the South. For some reason, that song fit that, and it got to number one on a couple of stations, and nobody could buy the damn record, man.
Oh.
But man, I had a chance. This was only 5 years ago, or however COVID was, and I broke my heart, man, because I said I finally made a record that I consider as great, and nobody can buy it. You know, it's one of those things about show business, man. You know, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah, but you never know. Again, just like some of your songs, Billy, they have a way of coming back around.
20 years from now,
Yeah, like Bad Penny.
the revival of Family Ties when they bring that back on Netflix.
Oh God.
Every other show's getting rebooted. They might as well do Family Ties as well.
Might as well make that up, huh?
Oh,
Well, hell, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, shout out to our mutual friend John Means, who was on one of my old podcasts. He's the one who hit me up, and he goes,
Yeah.
"I got someone you might want to talk to." So
Johnny was here. He drove me to my gig last night, and he left here at 5:00 in the morning. He had to go back home to Michigan and do some business. So, good guy, really good guy.
thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, man.
yeah, well, if you guys want to find us online, you can find us all the social medias of the world's at Sitcom My Face. Email us sitcommyface@gmail.com. I am at Bidwell Fogg. He is at Netnick191 on all the same socials. And then, Billy, is there anywhere you want us to send people to find more of you?
Go to billyvera.com,
There you
and
go.
then they could hook up with me on Facebook.
There you go.
And X. I'm on
Yep.
X, and I'm on. I got a fan page on Facebook. I recommend that. And I think that's the only place I'm at that I remember.
BillyVera.com, Billy Vera fan page on Facebook.
Yeah, and Twitter.
And if you haven't seen the documentary,
Hmm.
from Harlem to Hollywood.
Not from.
No,
Just Harlem
that's
to-
right. That's right. Yeah, because I got Mexican.
People always
Harlem
say-
to Hollywood.
Yeah, people always say that. So yeah. Yeah.
And again, Billy's books. We have Harlem to Hollywood.
Rip It Record Story. Rip It Up, the Specialty Record Story. The novel is A Dollop of Toothpaste. And then the other one, I don't think you can even find that one, about the neon, LA neon or something like that, 1979, whatever.
And are you performing anywhere coming up?
Just performed last night at Herb Alpert's Vibrato. Great club. Beautiful club. All artwork done by Herb. He must have spent millions on this club. The sound is impeccable. Wonderful audience. Sold out house. We're playing at the Ventura Theater on the 26th of July.
Any upcoming dates will be added to your website too, I assume?
Always.
There you go.
Always.
Excellent.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for having me, guys.
Thank you.
It was our pleasure.
Well, I won't go that far, but it was.
You can't see my pleasure. It's been off camera the whole time.
It was highly.
Hey.
I found it highly tolerable.
Yes, we did it, Nick. We finally did one that's tolerable.
Yeah, you're getting better every show.
Thank you, Billy.
No, you guys are great, and you did a great job, and I had a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
So, when you want part 2, let me know.
Oh, we will. When maybe next time when we talk about our theme songs, or
Yeah.
you could come in on the ranking with us. That'd be fun.
Okay, cool. That'd be a good thing.
I'm a true professional. Tell me how good or bad the Beverly Hillbillies theme song is.